We are going to be starting at 10:30, just so that you know. We're going to put where you can direct message us, and you can call in live. And welcome to our very first group session. We're also on Instagram, just so that you all know. And Facebook is facebook.com/vibe talk. We are going to begin exactly at 10:30. If you have questions and you just happen to be hopping on in the show or in the session, you can ask questions and you can send your questions directly on this site. And I'm going to be filling things in. I am on both platforms. I am at vibetalk on Instagram, and I am on vibetalk podcast and healing center on Facebook. And I'm going to be writing some things down. And we are here just needing to fill out some things, that's all. And I've asked for everybody to on come in on the show or on our group session early. Um, okay. And I have that. We're inviting all of you. Now, you may not be able to see me on Instagram but I am here. Come on over to Facebook if you have one. But we're deciding to open up the group, and we're going to be able to answer many questions. We'll be here to 12 o'clock, and we're going to start exactly at 10:30. We're going to start there at 10:30. My co-host Trish, oh my goodness, I want you guys to be able to hear her, and this is all of her music, and I'm going to play some for you. Let's see. I'm going to put some music on for you. And we're going to find some things. So when you guys come in, you can really listen. You can really listen to our samples. You can listen to understand why you were feeling those feelings. I want to tell you something else. So as you come in, please introduce yourselves. Please and thank you. Introduce yourselves. Make sure that you're comfortable. And we are recording. So let's say you guys want to call in, you may do that. We're going to be really talking. So I'm looking forward to sitting down with you guys and really, really talking. So I'm looking forward to this. We are the Healing Center, and everybody gets to hear it. Even if you're not here, you will get to hear it. So I want you to be able to listen to it. So and we're starting in exactly 10:30. Our number that you can call toll free is 888 721 9260. We have 15 minutes of free time. 15 minutes of uh, free time. So we want you to be able to uh, want you to be able to listen and see if you like what you're hearing. This is all for you guys' benefit. So we are looking forward to it. So we want you to be able to call in and share your thoughts. This is group session one. They're going to be ongoing. Ongoing. And they're going to be ongoing. So look forward to it. Uh, I'm having everybody come in early if you should want to. If you can't hear me, just let me know. Just let me know. Um, if you have any questions or comments, let us know. Okay? Going to be starting in just a little while. I'm so thankful to have all of you here. And you're going to find out what we're doing and why we're doing it. Thank you for being here. And we don't own the rights to the music that we are playing. So we are here, and we're going to get started in about 5 more minutes, guys. 5 more minutes. We're going to be starting in about 3 minutes. I logged in so everybody could log on early. You're going to still be able to get in. 1 minute, guys. I wanted everyone to come in and kind of relax. And I won't be repeating myself because it's going to be recorded. It's going to be recorded. Good mid morning to you, and welcome to our group session number 1 for Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast and the Healing Center. Good morning. We welcome all of you. And we want to say, in case you don't realize it, our podcast has been going for 5 years, and the Healing Center is the newest addition to our podcast family. The Healing Center. The Healing Center is all about you being able to identify with your emotions and with your feelings. We're going to talk about emotions. We know that emotions include our feelings, our thoughts, and our behavior. How many people have emotions? Raise your hand. And if you are online with me or you hear it later, I want you not to miss our group session 1. Use your electronic hands. Emotions. They're influenced by the things that we experience. And we're going to be able to, in the group session, talk about emotions. How we respond to situations that are personal to us. We all respond differently to emotions. And right now, I would like for you, if you would please, to write down one of your emotions. Okay. Mine was excitement. I was feeling excited to come here today and to do group 1 on video, our virtual session. Today we're going to talk about emotions so that you get a understanding clearly of what you might or what you are dealing with. You know, our emotions affect us differently: physical emotion, mental emotion, spiritual emotion. If I've missed any, please add them in. The number to call if you want to talk about today's session live, it's toll free. It's 1-888-721-9260. That's toll free for anyone because, excuse me, we're online and we want you to be able to feel comfortable. How do you express emotion? Or do you? Do you express emotions in a healthy way that is good for your well-being, and are you able to communicate your emotion? I'd like to give the illustration of when my youngest was 8, 9, somewhere in there, and he was quiet, shy, and I would have to check into his emotion. And because he was not talkative, very shy, I bought him what was then SpongeBob's emotions. And they were little faces of SpongeBob making expressions. And I would say to him, show me how you feel today. And this is talking about emotions of him being able to relate to. He loves SpongeBob, to be quite honest. I like SpongeBob too. But I want to explain to you guys so that you understand how to express emotions. Because not only children have an issue with expressing emotions, us as adults, we have an issue with emotions. So he would go to the refrigerator, to the little plastic magnets, and he was able to tell me how he felt. That's one way of expressing emotion. But did you know that there are many people who haven't been able to express emotion? Today, I'd like you in this group session to be able to express seven emotions. And I don't care what order they're in. I want you to focus on your emotions. What are some of the emotions that you have been dealing with? People face joy, sadness, love, faith, jealousy, anger, fear, happiness, if I haven't already said that. What are some of the emotions that you have been feeling? And we only want to talk about emotions for today. We want to talk about emotions because this is always a process. Today, in this present hour, I want you to list 7 emotions because we have so many emotions. Which ones are you feeling? Sometimes they're hard to express, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, but our emotions play and reflect a big part of our personality. How we're doing and affecting what we do and how we do it. Okay? But I want you to be conscious of your emotions at present. I want you to realize that the sensation of your emotions and how it behaves. When you are mad, what's the feeling? What's the sensation? When I'm angry, my heart starts to race fast. When I'm hurt, the sensation of wanting to cry. Not necessarily having tears for everything that I'm sad for, but I can feel the sensation throughout my body that it doesn't feel good. What do we do with those emotions? We need to pay attention to emotions. We need to get on board with our emotions. You know, a lot of people say or have asked this question, and see if you've asked this question. Why did you do that? What's the response? Well, without me giving you all of the facts, you would have no idea. But here's the emotion. It makes you think. Think. And sometimes the answer is always or mostly, I don't know. Just ask any kid why they did something. Any kid. Most of them are going to say they don't know. But we want today to leave out of this group session to understand that our emotions plays a large part as to how we respond or how we're going to explain or express ourselves. And we're going to go back to our childhood. Any siblings know that they've had a range of emotions. I come from 6 other siblings, me being the youngest. And I am sure with my brothers and sisters, I got on their last nerves. Because I was always telling stuff. Or I was always begging them to go with them. Wherever they went, I wanted to be tag along. And I even one time felt as if I wanted my sister to just hit me. Because I thought that I could beat her up. Range of emotions that we go through. We feel excited about things. And with siblings, we go through range of emotion. Stop touching me. Stop going in my room. Stop looking at me. Stop it, stop it, stop it. And I am sure I drove my parents crazy. But now, how do we deal with those ranges of emotions? If you've got siblings, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We've experienced many of them. We want to talk about experience of emotion. I want you guys to think about what your face looks like when you are very angry, and how upset that your emotions have made you. Sometimes, if I ask you how you're feeling in emotions, you say, I'm just a little teed off. I'm angry, but I'm this much angry. But today, I want you to think about the most angriest that you've ever been. And what made you angry? Got it? And then I want you to think about fear. What are you fearful of? I am fearful of getting on airplanes. I am fearful of loose dogs. I am fearful of heights. I am fearful of rejection. What makes you fear? And you don't have to write anything down because this is your first time being here. Let's talk about another feeling. When something disgusts you. How many times, or when was the last time that you were disgusted by something or someone? You see, there are varying degrees of disgust, right? Varying degrees of disgust. I might be disgusted at something like a plate of Brussels sprouts. Yuck. Disgusting, I say. But now you might be disgusted at something totally different. And why are we? Because it tastes nasty. Varying degrees of emotion might be at something or someone. When it's someone, what are we disgusted at? Why are we disgusted at that person? Yeah, let's talk about the ranges of emotions. And today we're only going to tackle one because I guarantee you it can overwhelm you. Our fear of being angry can lead to a fight or flight. When something you fear, would you rather not face it or flee it and never approach it because it makes you fearful? I talk about barking dogs a lot. You know, people, there's a lot of animal lovers. And don't get me wrong, I love creation. And I love the God that has done the creating. But I'll tell you what, if I hear a barking dog, it automatically, because of my experience, has me wanting to fight it. I hear a lot of people say, oh, he doesn't bite. Really? Because my senses or my response to that is, I've been bitten before, and that's a dog, and I don't know him and he doesn't know me, and I'm going to fight the situation altogether. Very powerful, our response. How do you react to fear? Or do you? There has been, we talked about anger, But I also want you to know that anger is a very powerful emotion. Very, very powerful. Anger. Very powerful. The anger that we have can be so powerful that we can become very hostile without thinking our emotions. We are triggered by our senses of emotions. I never will believe that a person doesn't know why they have behaved in certain ways. And boy, are we going to get you to be able to express your emotions through the Healing Center. The best thing about the Healing Center is that so many people come in and they're able to express their emotions. We think about the times in our lives that we've been sad. How many of you have ever been sad in your lifetime? And if I went around the room just to say, you were sad, you were sad, you were sad, two more people sad, each of you are going to tell me something that made you experience the emotion of sadness. You see, sadness feels like pain. There are varying degrees of sadness. Some people have been so sad that they feel it in their heart. Some people have been so sad that they have taken their own lives. Some people have been so sad that they're able to bounce back and ask themselves, why am I stuck in the sadness? You know, sadness, the emotional experience of sadness means that you feel some point of grief, helplessness, you may feel sorrow. We all know what that feels like. Sadness. You remember that time when you lost somebody and you had to go to their memorial or their funeral, their celebration of life, and the occasion caused for sadness? And yet, at that funeral, when people stand up to give their thoughts, their eulogies about that person, you laugh. Sometimes you go to funerals or whatever you want to call them, celebrations of life, and what the person has left you with is a legacy of experience. Your emotion about that person is really distinct that day. It's heightened because you are left with the memory of them. Even though things that are being said are very funny, you return back to that sadness because you are grieving that person. Sadness and sorrow. Going back to the word of disgust, I want to tell you something about disgusting. Oh boy. Disgusting is like another example. You go in the refrigerator because you want some milk, only to find out that the milk is spoiled. Phew! It smells bad. And if that isn't enough, you may smell it and then turn it up to drink, to taste it. What do you got? Milk that is churned into something yucky, disgusting, right? You see it and you say, oh no, I don't want that. We've all had that. Some of us have had the same experience, but we react differently. How many times have you said in your lifetime, that wasn't very funny, to people that have laughed at something? And you're experiencing the same thing with different outcome. Right? Let's talk about shame. Now, shame makes you feel flight. You want to run away. You want to go and hide under a rock or become invisible. Because something made you feel embarrassed, humiliated. That's shame. That's a form of shame. Many people that have a common emotion experience what is called anxiety. People feel like anxiety for different reasons. How many of you have experienced the emotion of anxiety? Anxiety can cause so much symptomatically, so much physically. How many of you have had your chest feeling like it was going to beat right onto the floor? How many of you have had headaches because you've got a late term paper or you've got a late job that, or something at your job that should have been done, and you have anxiety? Yeah. You get headaches, stomach aches, nausea, back pain, stomach pain, leg pain. The list goes on and on symptomatically. Now, happiness. There's an emotion. Happiness comes when it is a positive feeling. You go to a wedding, you're so happy for that person. You see a newborn, and you're so happy for that newborn's arrival and the parents who have expected the baby to come. The other night I experienced a happiness. And you know what the happiness was? Seeing a baby walk. We were enjoying his happiness and him just going to be a year. He was so happy to be walking. The look on that face let me know that he was really happy. I want you to think about these feelings. What has caused this emotion? Because, some of us have lived longer than others. Some of us have lived very short time. But why are we happy? Why are we sad? Why do we feel pain? Because a person that feels an emotion should be able to express his emotion. What has stopped that? That's another part of our group sessions. What has caused your emotions? What has caused you to be able to feel the way you do with your emotions? Now, at the outside of this class, what I did, or this group, is ask you to write down 7 emotions that you're feeling right now or that you have felt. You should be able to come up with 7. Have you evaluated? See, because sometimes we can just jot something down. A lot of times when we're in meetings or we're in class or whatever we're doing professionally, we're asked to take note or jot something down. But I don't only want you to take note of it, I want you to evaluate and reflect. That is what Vibe Talk at the Healing Center and the podcast talks about: your evaluation of yourself and your feelings, and being conscious to reflect on why you're feeling that way. I want you to be able to find the cause of it and the response to it. And for those of you who the doctor would rather give you medicine because you need to feel emotion, some medicines can make you not be able to express emotions. Sometimes your human body is overwhelmed with emotions. It isn't that you don't have them, you're overwhelmed. So we're only asking you to write 7. I want to put a disclaimer on something: that we don't in any way knock doctors or any care that you're given. I just want it to work for you. What are your causes of your emotions? I want you to be able to accept that emotions come from your brain. If everybody is in the room and you're hearing me, I want you to touch your brain. We have front, back, 2 sides. I want you to put one finger on any side of your brain, and then I want you to do your brain like Macaulay Culkin. Your brain is very powerful. The least little injury can cause your brain trauma. Our brain gives information to our sensations as to how we feel. I want you to understand that the body has a way to control emotions. I want you to understand that emotions can be very complex. Why do you think Facebook says it's complicated? So, what is your root cause of emotions? When we think about the root causes of our emotions, the root causes are like a flower. When you first draw a flower, what comes first to you? The petal or the root? I want everyone to try this. See, the root of the flower in natural life comes first. The petals don't come first. But sometimes we are prone to make the leaves first and then the root. And I've done this assignment many times called The Petals of Life. What has rooted us in the emotions that we experience, and sometimes more negative than positive? What is the root cause of it? Well, I did this, and I did it with many of my clients, and I discovered something. Out of all the emotions that I was feeling, the pain came first. And out of that pain came so many other things. What am I saying? That if you're sad, maybe it was the first time that you experienced the sadness. Maybe it was the first time that caused your sadness. You lost your pet. You didn't know that sadness hurt so bad. Everybody has a different reason for why they experience the emotion the way it does. Your brain feels that. It is true that the heart is your seat of emotion. But did you know that your brain is the sensory to the heart that makes you respond and feel the way that you do? I want you guys to think about this. Today our class and our group session is all about emotions. We have a list of things that we are going to talk about. Why? Because I want you to face your emotions. You know, the brain feels sensation. The brain is cognitive of emotions. You know, sometimes people tell a person that is not conscious that they can see the brain waves. I'm not a doctor, but it has been said that the doctors study the brain wave and they can tell if you're brain dead. They can tell if you're unconscious. They can tell if your brain is responsive when they ask you to wiggle your hands, your toes, grab onto your hands, blink your eye. The brain is also powerful and receives the emotions that you are now feeling. Now, your reaction to it is from your thoughts. Your brain is able to think back and trigger emotional feelings without knowing. You know, the most beautiful thing about the Healing Center and the people that come to the Healing Center, they start to discover themselves when they're ready. They start to, by way of looking at themselves, discover their range of emotion. They're able to think back what caused their feelings. Some are aware and some may not be. But I'll tell you what, in their range of discovery, they understand that they have been triggered unconsciously. And if we don't get those emotions out, here's what happens. We start to pile ourselves. We start to pile ourselves and we start to pile ourselves. And we get yay high to overpiling ourselves, becoming so overwhelmed with emotions that we start to break. Have you ever tried to fix something that was broken? How many of us have had that experience to fix something that was broken? Well, sometimes our brains are at the level that we're so overwhelmed that we can no longer do that. So I want you to think about your main emotions. I want you to be able to think about what is emotional that has triggered you. What is emotional that has reminded you of unwanted memories, unwanted emotions? Just did a podcast about that. What has made you have an unwanted memory? And as I say that, your brain may have had a really recent one. Uncomfortable topics to talk about, or how something has affected you, someone's words or someone's actions, or even our own behaviors, because sometimes we get in the way of ourselves. I want you to think about your triggers of emotions. Remember the thing that I said about rejection? That I had a fear of that? And it wasn't a good fear. I mean, it wasn't a healthy fear, is what I mean. It wasn't in my best interest. And I have learned recently to face those fears. How do you understand your emotions? How do you understand it? We're going to talk about that. If you're hearing this group session 1, if you are hearing it, here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit with yourself in a quiet place, a place that is safe space for you. And I want you to think about these things. Hello there. And thank you for joining. Thank you so much. We're talking about emotions. This is our very first group for 2025. And there will be others every Friday at this time. So what are some of the main causes of your emotions? We all have different causes. Remember the thing I said about the flower? And sometimes we will draw the petal before we draw the root. We must look at real life and we must think about the petal or the root cause. You see, mine was pain. It's like the original start of something, and there are many causes from it. Sometimes we say, there are ranges of emotions, and that is true. Ranges of emotion start with our thoughts and how we believe. I used to believe that every person wanted to hurt me. Because why? I experienced pain and rejection. Sometimes without me being a doctor, our makeup, the way we were born, our biological makeup creates us to be more emotion than someone else, less emotion than someone else. Our past experience. Past experience and our being personal, personal history. I want you to be able to think about your emotions. Are your emotions born, or did you make them? See, I believe that emotion is created from what we've experienced in life. I want you to think about emotions, why they're there. What is it telling us? Our emotions are telling us how we're doing. That's why I want you guys to lose the word I don't know. As if we were walking around with children, inexperienced children, who say that word, as I said earlier, I don't know. I want you to be able to face it, and I want you to be able to find out. Because you could say, I really have not checked into it, but I want to know. Because your emotions, with ranges and variations and degrees of it, I want you to understand that you do have them. And your emotions are keys to you. Keys. Oftentimes, we have keys that do what for us? They open something. They access something, right? They give you a purpose. Sometimes we have keys on our key rings that we don't even know what they're for because they are no longer useful. I only want you to use your useful keys of life. You need to gain access to those keys. And they are keys. So here's an experiment. I want you to take out every key, as you see that I'm going to do. And in my keys, I'm going to look at my keys. And I'm going to name my keys. Can you do that? And I don't want you to jump out and start jumping through the exercise. I want you to bear it with me, and I want you to understand it. Now, here are a set of keys. Everyone have a set of keys? Set of keys? As you look at the key and you pick up your key, this is a key. This is my car key. What is it used for? To get in my car and drive me wherever I need to be. These are my office keys that lets me into my healing center. And what's the purpose? So that I can go to work and help other people. The list goes on and on. So I want you to use your emotional keys. And I want you to be able to know that each key serves a purpose. Recognizing that there will be days and purposes for sadness. There will be times when you will be depressed. There will be times when you will be overjoyed. There will be times where you burst into tears. And there will be times that you will cry tears of joy. I want you to understand what your purpose is for that. Your emotions, they play a large part. I want you to understand that all your emotions are real. Many times we can make the excuse that our emotions are made up, that, oh, we're overreacting. Whatever the case may be, know that your emotions are real. Know that when we have emotions, it affects us. It affects how we think. It affects how we feel. Some people may not want to get their emotions well. Some people are so used to nobody caring about their emotions. And you know what they do? They never talk about them. Have you ever had a day where you didn't know why you were feeling the way you did, and you couldn't describe it, but you knew that there was a feeling there? That, ladies and gentlemen, is a feeling, that is an emotion. Why am I saying that? Because we're going to find out later on in our group sessions that emotions and feelings are two different things. How many of you knew that? Your past emotions, your present emotions, I want you to invest in keys to your emotions. Whether it's literal or symbolic. A symbol of something. I want you to be able to think about when people say, "Oh, are you kidding me?" How many times have you heard someone say that? Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding you. That emotions are real. Or they say, unbelievable that you feel like that. You see all the things that I'm putting in your way. Let no one doubt your emotions. Even if it feels too good to be true. They're your emotions after all. We understand that emotion comes from experience. They come from thinking patterns. They come from the way that we were born or the way that our environment is. We have real emotions. But if you don't know your emotions, how do you expect anyone else to know your emotions? And here's what we do for people that don't know how to really express emotions. We use our expressions through art. That is where we use coloring, painting, drawing. Because guess what? That helps us to express. So we have that workshop for you all. And I want you to be able to ask about it. I want you to be able to say, what do you do? How do you express it? Your emotions are so powerful. Have you ever laughed so hard that your stomach hurt? That's an emotion. Have you ever laughed so hard that your face hurt? Or you couldn't stop laughing? That's the power of emotion. Now let's look at another emotion that tells our bodies to cry tears. And I always use this one because this one is a complicated one, because with the tears you can do both things. With tears you can cry tears of joy, and with tears you can cry tears of pain. Here's the result of both of them. It cleanses your body, your inner soul. Sometimes for me, I will cry about things that have really hurt me. But I don't like for people to see me cry. Oprah calls it the ugly cry. Call it the cry that I don't want anybody to see me at that point because I'm so vulnerable. But if something hurts me, boy, I can cry until I've got no tears left. As deeply as I laugh, and so I'm told that by so many, I can deeply cry. Have you ever saw someone cry and it made you cry? Oh boy. I get really emotional when I've been so affected by other people's cry that it's made me cry. We must face these emotions because we see it all around us. We talked about how the body signals. We talked about emotional reaction. I still cry. I still have emotion over a lot of films I've watched. I like movies. And I'll tell you what. If I want to laugh, I will watch a funny movie. Not going to recommend any here, but I did think about 2 movies this week. And I'm going to watch them because they make me laugh hard till my face and my gut hurts. That's the emotion I get from that movie. And there's another movie that I really love, and it causes me joy and sadness at the same time. And yet, my emotional experience from the 2 movies are, I love those movies. Sometimes when someone suggests to you to relax and watch a good movie, you get the choice of seeing the good movie, but your emotions is going to tell you something about that movie. It's going to help you next time to pay attention. Pay attention to what your body is signaling. Pay attention to figure out what emotion you're feeling. There's so many experiences with all the emotions we've talked about today. And I want you to know how your emotions work for you. How you respond to your emotions. Are you healthy? Does it make you more healthier? I used to get so angry, ladies and gentlemen, that I couldn't see straight. How many of you have heard that? heard of. I'm so angry I can't even see. Or I'm so angry I see red. Or I'm so angry I blacked out. Once had somebody tell me that. They literally blacked out because they were so angry. Those are the most dangerous signals of emotion. And some people, ladies and gentlemen, have injured themselves or others, and yet they're sorry later. We must gain control of emotion. And having control is like driving the car. You drive the car, but you don't aimlessly. I know that there are some of you that may be out there that drive reckless, or you may have experienced someone who is driving reckless. Don't be reckless with your emotions. I don't want you to be reckless with your emotions. I want you to know that your emotions can change. Now, you heard me talk about emotion, and right now I'm focusing on anger because anger, I've had to gain control of myself so that I could change it. And I have worked through my anger. Sometimes it's not a good thing to express the anger right in the present moment, because you could do undue harm to yourself or someone else. If you don't like it, change it. But first, you must discover the keys towards your anger. So control is a good thing. How do we cope with our emotions? We find ways to cope. How many of you have had to find ways to cope? There was a mom who lost all 3 of her children. How did she ever learn to cope? Well, she found a change in her life, knowing that her life would be changed forever. She started to go out and started to help other moms who had experienced losses similar to hers. Maybe not in the same way that hers was, but the experience of her children being taken. Let's change something. Let's be able to use it in a way to discover. My favorite thing to do in the Healing Center is write on a board some of the feelings that you all have been experiencing. Because sometimes we could say, I feel guilty, I'm angry, I do this, I do that. But when you look at what is in your vision, you start to remember. And it's for you to look at and for you to be able to solve the issues. You just have to want. Sometimes our brain, I want to go back to the brain. The brain has a way of processing information without you even knowing. That's subconscious, or unconscious, I should say. When you sleep, You have no idea. I know for me, when I'm asleep, I have no idea what's going on. So your brain consciously, when you're awake, it takes in what's in the environment. But when you're asleep, did you know that your brain is still working? Because if not, you'd be dead. But your brain is constantly processing. And then you're taking in things. Let's say, have you ever fallen asleep in the movies? I'm great at that. Don't ever take me to a movie because I fall asleep in movies. But if you're asleep in a movie, here's what happens to your brain. Your brain can hear. Your brain can sense, like if a person is in my room or over me, I can feel them. It's so incredible. It's so incredible. Our emotional reaction to how we do things. If you're angry sometimes, you could hit something. You can be so explosive that you hit walls. You might even hit a person. But if you notice that you need to change, I want you to use a key. I want you to be able to use a key and title that key purpose. That will be the key to your change. You can get a character key, literally change the purpose. You can literally, by getting that key, name it. I need to change how I respond. Why am I so mad? Why did I burst a wall? Why did I throw something? I want you to start to name your keys. I'm talking about literally. Because now you're going to have keys to access that. A key to your purpose. Now I have a key. That was my anger key, and I'm going to use this key to be able to change something. Because all keys are useful, or have been useful, until we do what? Change the locks. So I want you to kind of get a key that you know what they're for. And it works too, for some. I want you to think about your emotion. See the bigger picture. You could be angry about something, and when you start talking about it, you see the bigger picture. If you're under stress and you have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because some of us get so mad. Oh my goodness. We get so mad, some of us. Even the some of us that say we never get mad, something has made us mad. Because I never believed that either. I don't believe for one moment that a person has never gotten angry. You get a bunch of kids and let them make a mess, or you go take your eye off of them for one moment and they start getting into stuff. There's nothing funny about it, and they start making a mess. It'll ruffle your feathers. But if we think about our anger and how we're going to channel it, it can save us from doing the most, as we say. We must approach our challenges. We're going back to fear, because fear is a four-letter word that is very powerful. There are other four-letter words that I dare not say, but this is a four-letter word that has crippled so many people. Fear. I want you to write that word down. Fear. What is an unhelpful fear? What is it that you need to decide that it's okay to fear that? You know, a person told me, I want to take you to Hawaii because I don't want you to be afraid of airplanes. I don't want you to be afraid to fly. Well, that's not helpful to me, even though they think it, and that was a nice gesture, but it's not helpful to me. Why? Because I have a fear of heights, and I have a fear of flying. And might I add, for those of you who are not afraid to fly, my hat is off to you. Because every time I think about what could be so bad about flying, I think about the height. I think about the latest airplane crash. Does it mean that I'm going to get into an accident? No. But I have a fear of that. And that's one fear that's going to keep me from Hawaii. Unless we get on a ship to go. But approaching my fear. I have never experienced what caused my fear. Survivors of airplane crashes, they don't have a fear of flying. But they are conscious of what has happened, and they never let it stop them. I'm proud of you, those of you who have faced your fears. But now, I have had a fear where I've had to climb some pretty steep roads, and at the last minute I want to go back. And how do I feel about that? I feel like a pro, because I have faced my fear. And there's been nobody in the car with me, and I go up and I go, well, the road is too narrow to go back. There's nowhere to turn, so I just have to keep climbing in the car. Although I have been scared, my decision has allowed me to be less fearful. I want you to think about that. And I want you to give it some thought about the keys to being. The keys of your being able to open your keys to access yourself. We have ranges of emotion. Here's another thing I would like you to do. Write down your emotions. And I want you to keep going until you stop. And then the next time we meet together, you can send them directly to me. Because there are a lot of emotions. And I think it's a good homework assignment. I think with the emotions, for us to understand emotions, we must reflect. The healing center is needed because these are the things that we talk about. These are the things that we don't record on personal sessions. some of my very clients may talk about fear, ranges of emotion, happiness, and all the other list. I want you to be able to access your emotions. Keys of emotions. You can even draw keys to access every emotions. I want you to think about all the emotions since you've been alive that you felt. Can you do that? Because there is a range of emotions. There are ranges of emotions that go deep, wide, and far. Many of you have shared the same emotion, the same emotional responses, and then there are others of you who have experienced a varying degree of emotions, but not quite the same response. Let's look into that. Let's think about it. Let's be conscious of our emotions. And if you like this class, can I tell you something? You're going to love group session 2. Every other Friday, we're going to get together. Even if I'm in the office, you're going to be able to link on with us. You're going to be able to come in directly if you're living in the community. Either way, by access through virtual video, like you see me now, you're going to be able to see me. Virtual video, you're going to be connected. You're going to be able to participate. And I hope that you're liking this class. Every other Friday. If you don't have the number to the Healing Center, it's a toll-free number. If you want to join in the group sessions, it's 1-888-721-9260. If you want to come in live, you can do that as well. You can call our number and ask questions. So if you like this one on emotions today, this is group session 1 on emotions. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope that it will give you some answers to you. And if you have any questions, you can call and text. You can direct message me. And you can always, if you see this floating around, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be able to tell me where you heard this group session 1 on emotions. And I want you to tell me where you're from. All the way from Palmdale, California. I am your life coach and counselor, director of the Healing Center, and I'm so glad that we have spent this time together. Thank you so much. If you have any questions about the class, if you have any questions about the donation and where to send or what to do, it's all by willing donations. This is the cause that I care about, the Healing Center, for so many reasons. And when you come here, we want to make it known that you must give respect, space, and grace to everyone that is online. We are here to help ourselves. I am here to answer questions that I can answer. I'm not a doctor in any kind of way. And our hats are off to the medical field that have spent so many hours to help us, to help our loved ones. Thank you, doctors and nurses. I'm just a life coach, professionally and certifiably. And I will take your call. I hope that you have found this group session 1 on emotions with purpose, and feel free to give me some feedback. Thank you, and I wish you the best weekend. Thank you so much.